Check one, check.
Okay, Sadie.
So we have a special guest on the show today. This is Sadie Bear, and we live on an acreage, and he is a great mouser, and he is super lovable. We actually think he should have his own channel.
Yeah, he's not smiling for the camera, but hey, check the tail out. Right? That's smoking.
So our topic today is something that just keeps coming up at family events, social events. I was out with my girls a few weeks ago to a movie night, and this keeps coming up. And it's all about furries.
Yes.
And as we dug deeper, actually, as you dug deeper and did a bunch of research, there was a few things that came up that I didn't even know existed. So
yeah, but do you mind for a second?
Yeah, do go.
I'm going to put him down because he doesn't like to be up in the light here.
No.
And you know what? He wants to go chase birds and stuff.
Yeah, that's what he does.
But this is a cat.
Yes.
Right? This is not a human. I know she's cute. He's cute. Oh, look at him. Oh, you're hamming it up for the camera. But this is a cat. This is not
Right.
something that humans try to be.
Or can choose to be. So,
Right.
cats and humans share 90% of the common DNA.
I'm going to put him down here.
Yeah, he's been cute.
He'll probably jump back up.
The difference between cats and human beings. Cats have 19 pairs of chromosomes,
Right.
and human beings have 23. Human beings have roughly 30,000 genes, and cats have 20,000 genes.
Okay.
So we cannot make a conscious choice to biologically be a cat.
No.
We can't. We're humans. He's a cat. He can't identify as a human being. We cannot identify as a cat. It's just...
It's impossible.
It's impossible. It's an impossible thing. Yeah.
It's asinine.
It's beyond asinine.
It's beyond asinine. This is bringing awareness. We're doing a 6-part mini-series here on this topic because it's so vast, it's so big, and it's destroying our world. It's destroying our country. Is that fair? I'm going to say
You know what? It is. And so we call
it... part of the woke movement.
Right. And so I think back in the olden days when we were growing up, we considered it to be politically correct, to be socially and politically aware and being all-inclusive to people that are different than ourselves, whether it's by race or gender or religion.
That's right.
But this has gone way too far, and these people are actually getting a platform that it's okay to identify as a furry. It's okay to... We're going to get into this deeper in the show, but Therian and Furries and Otherkin, and how are those even a thing? But it keeps coming up in these social events that we go to that it is a thing.
It is a thing.
It's terrifying.
It's in our schools. It's in our institutions. It's in our governments. It's in our it's in everyday life. It's absolutely... It's asinine. There's a lot of adjectives we could use to describe this. And
I think we do in our 6-part mini-series.
In a mini-series,
yeah, we do.
But so what we're going to cover today in today's episode is all these pieces of how this is really destroying our I don't want to say democracy. It kind of is destroying our democracy, but it's destroying...
it's destroying our society.
It's destroying our mental health is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
And not, I don't want to sound old or stuck in my ways, things like that. I grew up in a different time. Our kids grew up in a different time. Our grandchildren are growing up in a different time. And not saying my way was good or our way was good as a child. Our children's way probably, hopefully it was better. It evolved somehow. But today's kids, there's a struggle. It's just a... I'll go out on a limb and say it's a frickin' problem.
It is a problem.
It's a problem.
It's terrifying, actually, because these are the leaders of our the next generation. And is it going to be okay to show up at a government meeting dressed in a furry suit?
Absolutely,
because that's acceptable.
Absolutely not.
There's a platform for that.
Yeah, and there is. I need to add, there is a little bit of a debunked theory behind this. because we'll get into the definitions of what these different things mean. But there are not kitty litter boxes in classrooms. I've done a lot of research on that because a lot of people have expressed fears of that. There's been a lot of city council meetings. I know there's been city council meetings in our demographic and all across the United States, all across the UK, and I don't know about China. I can't, because nobody can see what that looks like. But the anime portion, or the anime world, anime being anime. It's the anime world, right? There's little creatures and things like that, which are the furries, right? That's where the furries kind of come from. It could be argued they come from way before those times, but that's China, that's Taiwan, that's Japan, that's Asian countries, right? That are into those graphics and things like that. So in the gaming world, you know what? We're gonna watch a couple videos here today, and we're gonna try to dive a little deeper, and we are gonna dive deep into this because it's destroying our society. It's just insane.
Yep.
So we're gonna explain what furry means. We're gonna explain what otherkin means. Otherkin is spelled Otherkin, and we're also going to explain what the Therian means. And I think that's spelled Theorkin. You know what?
Rkin.
I think, is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay.
These are all new words to us. I mean, this is new in our vocabulary.
Yeah. We're like, what is this even about, right?
Yeah.
And more to the point, so when we go through this whole episode today, we're going to be looking for help from you guys out there too, to what you see in your end of the world, wherever you're viewing this from. And please comment below. We're interested to put a stop to this. Really, is what it is. It's just stop already, right?
We can't be the only people on the planet that think this is totally not okay.
No, we can't. And so we're going to talk about the cause and effect that this has on our society as well. So I'm going to tip it off to you, G'lenda, and if you want to just kind of explain what these words mean.
Okay,
furry. What's a furry?
Furry fandom is a subculture interested in anthropomorphic animal characters. Attributes include exhibiting human intelligence and facial expressions, speaking, walking on two legs, and wearing clothes. The term furry fandom is also used to refer to the community of people who gather on the internet or at furry conventions.
Right. And so anthropomorphic.
That's a big word.
Hopefully we're reading that correctly. The definition here is it's the attribution of human traits, emotions, or intentions to non-human entities, which when we get into this video, it'll explain about people don't identify as human. They're non-human. They're partially human. So it's a thing, and it's considered to be an innate tendency of human psychology, which is interesting because, I don't know, there's two sexes, right? You know what I mean?
Well, that's how we were raised.
If you're breathing and if you have the capability of thought and expression and emotion and cognitive thinking, you are therefore deemed a human.
And human beings are the most intelligent mammal on the planet. So I don't know why you would want to be a furry, because you're basically removing brain cells. You're not as intelligent as the human being sitting beside you at the office.
No.
You're choosing to be
you're right.
less intelligent.
And so if you're in an institution, I don't know, let's say a school classroom, and teacher says, hey, little Billy, who's named Billy anymore?
No one.
But if they say, hey, what do you think of the political landscape today? Let's say that's a question, right? And Billy goes, meow. That's the answer, right? That's the answer. So, and the teacher has no capability of even interacting with that child, because we handcuff them. as a society. I mean, look around the world. Look what's going on with that.
And we say that's okay.
It's not okay.
No, it's not okay.
No.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We agreed.
If I had kids in grade school that were experiencing that, I would be an involved parent looking at that shit, right? And if I saw 1 ounce of it, I'm pulling my kid right out of the school.
You know, I agree with you. I would definitely homeschool my kid.
Right.
That is not a healthy environment.
Our institutions have failed, right? And there's a parenting aspect too. But you know what? Let's move on here. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can.
Let's talk about otherkins.
Okay. Otherkin is a subculture of people who identify as not entirely human.
Right.
Okay. Some otherkin believe their identity derives from reincarnation, a non-human soul, ancestry, symbolism, or metaphor. Others attribute it to an unusual psychology and do not hold spiritual beliefs on the subject.
Right. And it goes deeper. We're just tearing this right off Wikipedia because you know that's true, right? But you can read into it, and it does go. But there is a time when the first inception of it, and you can read. We won't get into that, and demons and dragons and elves and fairies and all that. That part of whatever you're following, the Dungeons and Dragons, you know,
right. It's a fantasy world.
Yeah, because you remember when Comic-Con, right? Comic-Con's a big deal, Trekkies or whatever, and you get dressed up once a year to go to partake in Comic-Con. Well, that's kind of part of the furry culture, from my understanding. That's kind of, it's not, you're not giving them a pass on that, but I mean, furries are a different.
Comic-Con is a one-day event.
It's a one-day event.
When you get up every day and put your catsuit on and paint on your whiskers or your eyes or your you're changing your lifestyle. This isn't just an event to look forward to.
Yeah, and the third one that we're talking about here right now is the Therians.
Therianthropy is the mythological ability or afflictions of individuals to metamorphose into animals or hybrids by means of shape-shifting.
Right. So I've done a little more research on this one. So shape-shifting goes back a long way, like in the early 1900s. It really does. And well, it kind of says here 1915, Japanese publication. Shape-shifting, we're talking about aliens. We're talking about technologies that we can't even begin to understand. We're talking about technologies that we don't have. And I bleed red, you bleed red. I'm telling you right now, I can't shapeshift. If I met somebody that could shapeshift, and I would say, if they claimed that they could shapeshift, I would say, prove it to me right now. And I would sell everything I had and put all my money on the fact that they couldn't do it. Okay. Right? Because they're human. Right? Not saying, that's a different episode with the aliens and all that. Walking amongst us and all those things. But I haven't met one yet. I really haven't. And I would like to. So if you can point me in the right direction, I'd be curious to see that.
None here.
But again, so those are the three. So furries, otherkins, and therikins. That's what we're going to be kind of watching some videos on today, and the cause and effect this is having on our society. If you don't think it affects you, you might want to think again, because it does. It affects our way of life. That's what it does. When we give, these people are mentally ill.
Mentally unstable.
Okay? Yeah. They are. They don't need to be loaded full of drugs to balance their chemical. That's another episode by itself as well. But they are mentally ill and they need help. And our health system worldwide is broken. It's just broken. We'll get more into that, more about that a little bit later in the episode here. So that brings us on to who's involved in this, right? So it's the kids and the teens. You know what? I think we're before we get into that, let's run the video. This one video, and then we'll stop and talk about it.
Okay.
Hi, Naya. Hi, Louise.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for coming out and teaching me about the wondrous world of Otherkin.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
So what do you consider yourself? Otherkin, just non-human, or
I try to become an elf.
you're trying to become an elf?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of plastic surgery, like, fantasy kind of features in my face and body to become something that doesn't look really natural.
I consider myself a British Columbia wolf and red fox Therian.
So that's different than Otherkin, or is it in the same realm?
So Otherkin is more of an umbrella term. So Otherkin refers to people who identify in some way as non-human. Therian is a more specific term referring to animals that are living or were once living on this earth.
Basically, if it really existed in the realm of reality.
Right, that would be Therian.
So what does being Otherkin entail?
You identify usually spiritually or psychologically or both. I've seen cases where it's been neither, but you have this deep identification as something that is not human. For me, it's wolf.
Being an Otherkin means that you don't feel entirely or completely human. In my case, it's something non-related to reality. I'm trying to become something from fantasy.
What non-human species or kin type do you identify as?
Do you know what Pleiadians are?
Pleiadians?
Yeah.
No.
They are a kind of elves that comes from space. They are beings from love and light, and they live in space and care about the earth, and I really like it.
So you are a creature built on love and light from space.
Exactly.
Okay, a couple of words that pop out that this elf person, I don't even know whether that's male or female or what they started out as, but it's a fantasy. They have lost touch with reality.
That's right. They have.
That's terrifying.
Completely, yes. And Louise is the fantasy character in this video. I need to pay homage. We need to pay homage to Anthony Padilla for he's the interviewer in this case. It's his show, and he's. I would encourage people to watch this movie or this video in its entirety if they're interested. We're just going to do the highlights of it, of course.
Yep.
But getting back to your question, so Louise is. I'm not trying to do a spoiler alert here, but he's gone through 30 body modifications, 30 surgeries.
It's wild.
It is. It's wild.
It's wild.
He actually, I don't know if I'll scrub to the clip here for this piece, but he actually wants to have, he's gotten his eyes worked on to make him look like a
Elf.
like an elf, but kind of like more like a cat. So they stitched inside his eyes. And he said it was one of the most painful surgeries that he's had. But the one he's going in for next, believe it or not, he's having his lower ribs removed. One rib on each side. So he can have a waist that is very hourglass looking. And more disturbing than that, G'lenda, is he wants to have, after he gets his ribs removed, he wants to barbecue them and eat them.
That is sick.
I can't even make that up.
That is sick.
So for people that don't think that this is a mental illness, we need to wake up, man. This is our youth. These are the leaders of the country in the future. And it's just insane. I might scrub to that part just so you can see him say that.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. Like at a loss for words, right?
Yeah.
I am going to scrub.
Like out of touch, just lost touch with reality.
Yeah.
That is not okay. And so where does somebody like this find a job?
Right.
I'm out of the corporate world, but I know, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have hired somebody that looked like an elf or somebody that came to work dressed up in a furry suit or somebody that, couldn't speak in a meeting and just like this, and I'm supposed to understand the cat language.
Yeah.
And we love animals. We both love animals. Dogs, cats. We have deer, porcupines. They're a little bit of they can be pricks in the yard. But no, we love animals, and
we do.
This is terrifying.
Yeah, this deserves zero platform, you guys.
And we're giving it a platform as awareness.
No, as awareness, we're not giving them. You know what we're giving a platform to is the mental illness. The fact that we don't have anybody in our society, in our governments. Where are our governments in all
Where's
this?
the parents? Where's the parents? Yeah.
Like, if somebody was to say that they're going to eat their own ribs, like that's Hannibal Lecter shit, right? That person needs to be committed.
They need help.
Yeah. They totally need help. I'm just going to play this real quick.
I actually will eat myself if I remove my ribs. I was thinking about that. There's a surgery I like that it's the rib removal to have a waist, like a really nice tight waist.
Okay.
And I was thinking doing like a barbecue with my own ribs sounds like really extreme and strange, and I would love to see how I taste.
You're saying that you would get your ribs removed to have a thinner waist, and then you would eat your ribs over a barbecue to know how you taste?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm speechless.
This is this is on YouTube, right? This is a society. It's crazy. So if you've got a young influenced child, somebody who's highly influenced child that watches something like, I'm not saying that needs to be censored. I'm saying that person needs help, right? Stop giving these people a platform and saying,
you know what's terrifying is these people could be raising children, right? So I was out with my girlfriend a couple of weeks ago, and she said in our city of 250,000 people, she actually saw a furry parent wheeling a baby stroller down the street. How is that okay?
That's not okay.
So this person identified as a cat, where they were in a furry cat suit, and they are raising a child. So that child's going to be free to be a cat, a dog, a hamster. Like, I don't know, maybe dad's a dog, mom's a cat, and this will be a little hamster, a little squirrel. And that's okay.
No, it's not okay.
Oh.
It's absolutely not okay. So who's involved in this? Kids, teens, actually some young adults are, in the demographic of in their 20s.
Well,
right?
you know what?
They kind of do this stuff
when I was
too,
looking through there, it really spikes from 18 to 22, which is terrifying. Because, okay, let's take it back. We both had kids. We both raised kids. Yeah. When kids are 2, 3, 4, 5, they like to role play. They like to dress up in furry suits. They like to pretend they're a cat. Look at me. I can jump on one foot. I'm a bunny. Look at me. Look at me. That's age appropriate. When your 10-year-old wants to dress in a cat suit, or even not even dress in a cat suit, just identify as a cat, that's not age appropriate. No. It's just not. I mean, we dress up for Halloween parties, and that's okay. It's a one day. It's like the Comic-Con thing, right?
Yeah, but we have common sense.
We have common sense, and we can be whoever we want. Right. We all know when we put a mask on or a furry suit, we can be whoever we want. But when you're 18 years old and you're going to, secondary education or going to a job, and you expect everybody to adapt to this ridiculous behavior.
It's you know what? I would walk out of that if my employer said, "Oh no, we've got to be all inclusive." I'd be like, I'm out. See you later. Yeah, might shit on his desk maybe because that's.
Wouldn't there be a litter box?
No, I wouldn't care.
Okay.
But who's involved in this? Kids, teens, parents. Who's to blame? Now, us as parents. So this is the who part, right? But us as parents need to have ownership in raising our children, raising them with proper values, staying close to them, staying aware of who they're hanging with, who their friends are, their screen time.
Children need parameters.
They totally need parameters.
It's like putting a fence in your backyard.
Yeah.
This is right, this is wrong. I don't care what your friends do. I don't care what the rules are at your friend's house. These are the rules in our house.
That's right.
And one day we want to raise you to be mature adults, and you're going to leave home, you're going to get a job, and you're going to support yourself.
That's right.
And to enable them to be, come on, we all know that our kids can't be whatever they want to be, right? Some of our kids just aren't smart enough to be a doctor or lawyer.
That's right.
But you cannot choose to be an animal.
No.
That's not a choice. That's not an option.
Right. So if you agree with me or disagree with me, please let us know in the comments below. But so teachers, our institutions, okay? Our institutions, teachers, I know they're unionized and things like that, but step up, man.
But their hands are tied because they're told this is the curriculum, this is it, the anti-bullying policy, and we all know that the anti-bullying policy came in for a reason. I mean,
but
this has taken it a step far. You can't bully somebody because they're a cat.
This is controversial, but you're saying the teacher's hands are tied. I disagree with that emphatically. I really do.
Okay.
Because, and not because I'm not a teacher, and yeah, you went to school for 8 years or 4 years or whatever that is, right? You know what? I went to school too for 4 years, and guess what? My industry doesn't exist anymore. Go figure, right? Technology, right? But anyway, the teachers, if they know it's wrong, step up. Step up. Just stop feeding the machine. And are they going to be out of a job? Maybe, possibly. So be it. Just so be it. Because why would you want to support that? Right?
I think it
Seriously.
also... No, but I think it stems at home, and I think parents are getting lazy, and I think kids get way too much screen time, and they send their kids to school. Well, the teacher will deal with it. That's the teacher's job. The teacher spends 6 hours a day with them, more than any parent does any given day.
Let me finish my thought, because I'm going through the list of who's responsible for this.
Yeah.
So teachers, even though you say their hands are tied, I'm going to show you a video that's going to challenge that a little bit. Employers, okay? The HR component of that, just stop. Stop. It's okay to say, you know what, that's not a good policy, right? You're looking like you're disagreeing.
Well, I'm thinking back to the olden days when I was still working. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I would have thought of 1,000 reasons not to hire one of these people in our workplace.
Yeah,
I mean, we had enough issues to deal with other than having somebody in a cat suit or identifying as a non-human.
So I'm going to try. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I think you did.
I want to try to roll into the rest of the segments here.
Okay.
Teachers, employers, parents, politicians, mainstream media, big box stores, social media. All these people
contribute to
this insane world that we're being subjected to, that's being rammed down our throats. The politicians, every country, the politicians and the wokeness of a politician that supports the gay and lesbian community, the LGBTQ and LMNOPQRSTUV times 13, all that stuff. And you know what? That's another program too. But that's a contributing factor to this insanity.
I don't totally agree with you. This has gone a step too far in the all-inclusivity.
Because why?
Carry on, because that's coming up. That will be another episode.
The cause and effect for who's responsible is mental instability of our society, the cognitive thinking, the intellectualism, the common sense, right? It's creating such a high level of anxiety and mental. It's stripping you of your mental core.
Well, you're hiding from reality. You're not being real.
No, you're not.
And is this maybe stemming from all the screen time and video games that our kids have been subjected to? You go to school for 6 hours and you come home, mom and dad are working, and then you're on your iPad or you're playing, online games until 10 o'clock at night. And have kids lost grasp of reality? Because you can be whoever you want. You pick your little avatar and you've got a little gun. You can change your outfits and whatever.
Yeah.
So they're taking the video game and bringing it into reality, because you can be whoever you want. You can be an elf, you can be a dragon, you can be whoever.
You can, but yeah. And so when is this happening? So when do we see these things happening? It's every day. It's every damn day, right? And our kids the informative years when they're young, right? And they want to play house and they want to play Barbies and they want to play Tonka trucks.
And that's healthy playing.
And
that's
they want to
healthy
hop around the yard like a bunny and have a cat friend or a
imaginary
friend, stuff like that, right? And misery loves company, right? I'm going to say that because that's part of the online, the social media. So if I feel like a cat today and a lamppost tomorrow and a potato next week, I can find other people that feel the same way or have a vision of what that is, and then you can gain a community, if you will. And guess what? The politicians, they'll make a platform for that.
Well, and you can also influence. So if you're a 10-year-old kid and they have a friend that identifies as an animal, that can be so influential over your child. And then your child insists that they want to be a dog.
Yeah.
And I mean, as parents, we know that we can only raise our children to a certain age, and then society and peer pressure and all that's going to influence them as well. But it is terrifying.
Yeah. I want to play a quick clip here.
Yeah.
I kind of chuckled at this one a little bit.
All that fuss about Betsy Sue. Ain't nothing wrong with her.
No, Betsy Sue happens to be sick.
Sick, eh? She's got a little splinter in her neck. But will they take it out? No, they'll stick needles in her and fill her so full of pills she'll really be sick. Well, been a nice visit, Pete. Drop me a line sometime.
Well, that's the way you want it.
Anyways, that's Francis the Talking Mule, for those who don't know.
I remember that from 1,000 years ago.
It's a fantasy it's you know what it's I don't know if it's a Disney movie, but it's Hollywood, right? And it was so cool back in the day that the mules could talk, and you know I remember watching that show on a Saturday
I do
morning.
as well.
But that's where it stays. You know what? Mules can't talk, right? Humans can talk. Humans can communicate. Animals cannot. Right?
Yep. I agree. So what's really wild is getting back to the school system and how, you know, they have to accept these furries, these Serikins, these Otherkins. What happened to the rule about 10 years ago where Halloween was canceled in schools? Couldn't dress up in Halloween costumes, and I mean, kids really looked forward to Halloween. But you know, I think they made that rule because some kids were, you know, less fortunate, couldn't afford their families couldn't afford a suit, or you know, in religious schools, you can't dress as a devil or whatever. But now it's okay to be this every day of the year.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It doesn't work.
That is insanity.
It doesn't work at all. I'm going to play another quick clip. This is Matt Walsh.
Okay.
Interviewing the BC wolf from the previous video.
Okay.
Yeah, and you really want to pay attention to what Matt Walsh has to say.
It's sort of the logical conclusion of the leftist sexual agenda. What happens when we become unmoored from truth, unmoored from reality, from our moral tradition? And we took the rabbit hole all the way down in the film. So I want to play this clip from What is a Woman, which is available now at whatiswoman.com. Become a subscriber and watch, but here it is, watch.
So now we are seeing kids that are identifying as animals going to school, and they are purring instead of answering questions, and they meow. And the teachers are not allowed to question it because it's considered a queer identity.
So you have kids that are going to school and they're saying, I'm a cat. Mm-hmm. And the teachers have to affirm them as a cat.
Yes. So it's
the
not
schools
just
are
the
like
young ones.
literal zoos now, basically.
They are.
I am a 27-year-old transgender woman. I am a wolf Therian and a member of the furry fandom.
When and how did you discover this inner wolfness?
Probably around age 10 or 11. I was watching an anime about wolves and see the wolf running across the screen, and I'm somehow just intrinsically like, oh, that's me.
Have you spent any time around biological wolves?
Yes.
That sounds dangerous also. What context are you?
So I was a volunteer with a preserve, and I've also visited many wolf preserves.
Are you able to communicate with the wolves?
Am I going to have a conversation with a wolf in the way that I'm communicating you and I? Obviously not. Am I going to read their body language, respond appropriately to their behaviors and their nonverbal cues? Yes.
Would you be able to give us an example of this wolf communication?
No. I'm not comfortable doing so.
Okay, all right.
Not comfortable doing so because
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's retarded. Mm-hmm. I'm going to scrub to the end of the video here where Matt actually says something pretty cool.
Therapists that feel like they can speak out without having their careers destroyed. That this is a thing now. Kids, this is what kids are doing. And it's like, well, and of course kids are doing that. When you tell kids that, hey, you can be whatever you want to be, your identity's up to you. Of course, a lot of them are going to say, oh, well, I'm a wolf, or I'm a whatever, I'm a monkey. And usually, in a sane society, kids pretending to be animals, as long as they're kids. Now, the person we were talking to there, was it Wolf Therian, not a kid, that's an adult. But for kids pretending to be animals, usually it's, my own kids do that sometimes. My 2-year-old runs around pretending to be an animal. And that's perfectly fine. That's using your imagination. Except that we don't live in a sane society. And so now we latch on to that and say, okay, well, that's who you are now. That's your identity. That's not just a game. That's who you are. So look out for the sequel, What is a Human, dropping sometime in the next few years.
It's insane.
It is insane. Absolutely insane.
Like Matt says, imagination at 2 and 3 and 4 years old, 5, 6, Halloween or whatever. But at 27 years old, that's not age appropriate. No. She's hiding from reality.
Yeah.
It's absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. It is. And why is it happening, right? The why.
It's absolutely, you know what, the all-inclusivity has gone too far. And like I said earlier in the show, I'm all about not bullying, over race, religion, gender. This is just taking it way too far.
It is. Where is it happening? We talked about it. It's everywhere. It's in our schools. It's in institutions. It's in our traditional media. Mm-hmm. Like it's mainstream media. Mm-hmm. I mentioned the institutions. I'm going to play 2 more quick clips that proves that our politicians that they, you know what, they're in a place of power that they could do something about this and stop platforming this. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
They could, you know what, they might look at the healthcare system and fix what's broken. Right? It's been
like broken. Mental health resources and mental health programs, because this is a mental health issue.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. I'm just going to play this real quick.
These officials put kids' lives in danger to protect what exactly? We don't know. Any kid in those schools could tell you that men and women are not the same. Just like they could tell you this cat lady isn't a cat.
I am a cat. Meow, meow. I'm not a woman dressed as a cat. I am a cat. By show of hands, I'm curious, how many of you believe and confess that I'm a cat? Great. By show of hands, I'm curious, how many of you believe that your child or a child from this school would believe that I'm actually a cat? No one. You are right. Truth prevails over imagination. Reality exists. Discernment is innate and something we are biologically wired to have. One look at me and you know this to be true. I am a woman posing as a cat.
And that's in our school. That woman was in a school board meeting. Mm-hmm. And it's in schools right across North America. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Never mind the other countries, right? Mm-hmm. I mean,
so obviously that's a problem in her school, and she's screaming out.
She's addressing it. Yeah.
She's addressing it, and she's getting zero support.
Zero.
She's on her own.
She's on her own. The more attention we bring to it in a positive way, not a negative. I call it deplatforming this crap.
Yeah.
But we need to bring the awareness back to the mental health side of things for everything under the umbrella.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and one quick last video. Again, this is a Canadian This is our Canadian Prime Minister. And it's part of the woke movement. And woke is pretty big. That's another episode. It's going to stand on its own 2 feet. Okay. But this is part of that.
Woke is very big, but this has gone way too far.
Way too far.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So I'll play this real quick.
Too woke? Hey, Pierre Poilievre, it's time for you to wake up.
Cheers from a crowd of dozens as crews removed the statue of Sir John A. Macdonald from City Park in Kingston.
The monument of Queen Victoria at the Manitoba Legislature has been taken down during a protest on Thursday.
On the Ryerson University campus, the statue of Egerton Ryerson, the school's namesake, has been knocked over.
Churches across the country have been targeted in a series of vandalism or arson attacks in recent weeks.
He was fighting a fire at an historic church in Morinville.
Instead of there being Mother's Day celebrations with cards like this one at a Quebec school, parents will be the center of festivities after teachers at La Chanterelle School in Quebec City made the controversial decision to replace Mother's Day.
Shows them wearing bike shorts, a blonde wig, and tight tops over abnormally large prosthetic breasts in the classroom of
His passport is back in the news. This time, though, it's got nothing to do with delays. The passport is getting a makeover.
The images are changing. The images on the pages inside that represent Canada. So they're changing. Think more natural landscapes and wildlife, less monuments and historical moments.
So we'd like you to...
we like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind, because it's more inclusive.
There we go.
Woke has one purpose, only one purpose. Plenty of pretexts, but only one purpose: control. It is designed to divide people by race, by gender, by ethnicity, by religion, by vaccine status, and any other way that they can divide people into groups. Because why? Then you can justify having a government to control all those groups. No more woke.
I'm going to stop that right there. That speaks volumes.
It does.
To what our politicians are they're
debating.
Yeah. You know, because they want the vote, right? And if they put up this platform for that, and because it's big, it runs deep, man. Like this thing is everywhere. This way of life is everywhere, and if you platform it, you're going to get the votes, right? And it's sick. It's destroying our children. It's destroying our adults. It's destroying our democracy, and it's destroying our way of life.
It is. It's just.
Yeah.
It's a fantasy world.
It is. Yeah.
And somehow we've lost track of reality.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why that is.
Well, I have some thoughts.
Okay. I'd like you to share them.
This bullshit on and if you guys feel free to jump in.
We'd love to have comments on this tonight.
This starts from the top, okay? So we're all individuals that live in a free democracy, a democratic world, if you will, not to get confused with democrats in the U.S. We're free. We're free citizens, right? Or at least what we thought we were. But the government, it starts at the top, and that's the government. That is the duly elected officials that we, the people, have put in place. And they are so focused, laser focused on the all-inclusivity of everything. It's too inclusive, and it's gone way too far.
I agree.
It's gone way too far. You got race, religion, you got race wars, you got religion wars.
Gender wars.
Yeah, that the transgender thing, that's another topic. But it's a complete sham. It's coming from the government because it's a psyops war on your mental
well-being.
Yeah, on your mental well-being. And it's got to stop. You just got to. Don't give it 5 more minutes of your time. If you want to spend 5 minutes learning about it, spend 10 minutes. You do yourselves all a favor. Spend 10 minutes standing up against it.
You know, it's interesting
Right?
you should say that, because we spent so much time trying to educate ourselves and learn about this stuff. Because, like I said, this was new to me, relatively new to me. I had no idea how much literature there is on like when we were Googling.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable. The amount of time that has been put in to this ridiculous fantasy world.
Yeah.
Where we could be putting resources into helping people with,
That's
mean,
right.
we've always had issues with our mental health system, a non-existent mental health system, and I can say that emphatically. Where's our mental health system going to help these freaks? Because they're freaks.
It's not. You know who it's going to help? It's going to help the government. It's going to help the big dirty pharma, because they're going to push pills down these kids' throats before you know it, because they're not centered.
So what are you saying? So it's okay for you to be a cat for 10 years, and then we're going to throw drugs at you, so you're not a cat?
100%.
Interesting perspective.
Look at the world.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we all know how dirty big pharma is. We all know that. And if you don't know that, aren't aware of that, you need to wake up a little bit.
It's a cajillion dollar
we
industry.
actually
for
pulled
sure.
up the stats here the other day, and it was just it's astronomical. It's one of the biggest, most profitable industries in the world.
Yes, it is.
And how do they profit? From your mental illness, from your sickness, right? So the health systems in our country were handed down to each province. Provincial jurisdiction, but guess who controls the jurisdiction? The federal government.
Okay, my experience down to the mental health track. There is no system from a federal level, from a provincial level, or from a local level.
Right.
And I did a ton of research, and we're going to save that for our episode on grief. When I lost my son to suicide, but I tried to find answers.
Yeah.
And there was doors closed everywhere I looked. So how this works is the federal government allocates money to each of the provinces, and the provinces give it to each of the local health regions. And it just dumbfounds me that every province in our country is trying to come up with their own mental health program.
Right.
When if the federal government wanted to make a difference, they would have a program, and give it to each of the provinces, and each of the provinces could maybe revise it a little bit, because we know that some of our northern provinces are very different than the prairie provinces. But just having a general fucking outline for mental health, but we have nothing.
Right.
And I was told that we fell through the cracks. And I said, you can only fall through the cracks if there's a fucking program.
That's
and
right.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And when you throw all of this in, besides the fact that a lot of people struggle with their mental health on a daily basis, and they're considered relatively normal because they don't wear a cat suit or identify as something non-human.
Right.
It's so absurd.
It is. And do you know why the system's broke?
You know what? I disagree with you. It's not broken. There is no system.
Okay.
There never has been a system.
Do you know why there is no system?
Why?
Because your government doesn't give two shits about you.
You know what? And I have to agree with you, because I spent 7 years trying to find some answers.
I know you did.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to be another episode, and that's going to be a tough one to do.
So the last thing I want to say to our viewers, and please comment, and I'm sure this will get a lot of legs, and it's about damn time to stand up to this bullshit. Okay? Real life, the life that you know, and the kids that you love, and the wife that you love, and the husband that you love, and the grandparents. It's not a fucking video game. It's not. This isn't a video game where you can just get extra lives. This is real life. So stand up, speak out, just say no. Just stop the insanity.
And make sure to watch our 6-part series on the ludicrousness. Is that a word? Ludicrousness.
It is now.
You know what? It is, because all these fucking words are words now too.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with ludicrousness. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah. So this is the last episode of our 6-part series. So if you didn't see the first 5, go back and watch it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for let's talk about that. I'm Seckert. This is
I'm G'lenda. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share today's episode.
Yeah, and make sure to live your best life because you fucking deserve it. You deserve it.
You stole my line.
You were late to the.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'll second that. Make sure to live your best life. Over now.
Say my line.
Forget it.
Okay. See you later.